Yes, standard costing. You can give a practical example if you don't know the definition. Okay, standard costing, this is the type of costing system where we predetermine our costs and any revenues. All right, let's say you are a manufacturer. All right, so in a certain month or a certain year, you're going to try to estimate what your costs are going to be. Those are the standard costs. You tabulate them. Then at the end of the month or at the end of the year, you're going to see what your actual costs and your actual revenues are, and then you compare it with your standard costs and standard revenue. That's where you're going to see if there are any variances. That's where variance analysis comes. All right, we're comparing what was budgeted, what is standard, to the actual results. All right. And basically, we always want our actual results, especially our actual costs, to be less than our standard costs. That's what we are striving for. Because that mean, what does it mean if your actual costs are less than your standard costs? Imagine at your home you budgeted that, oh, my expenses for this month are going to be 10,000. Then at the end of the month, you find that your expenses were actually 8,500. What does it mean to you as a individual? You standardize your expenses for 10,000, but your actual expenses came to 8,500. What does that mean when the actual is less than what the budgeted or the standard? It means you've spent less, so you have saved. Okay, colleagues. So as we'll be doing our variance analysis, whenever the actual is less than the standard, that is favorable. But if the standard is greater than the actual, that is adverse. It means you've actually paid more than you expected. For example, at your home, you said, okay, my expenses for this month 10,000. Then at the end of the month, you find actually your expenses were 12,500. There, your actual expenses are greater than what you budgeted. So it means you're paying more. Okay, so let's look at a question. Then as we're answering the questions, we'll be looking at these different type of variances. Right. BB Limited produces a product whose standard costing is as follows. Selling price 80 kwacha, direct material 4 kg at 5 kwacha per kg, 20 kwacha. Direct labor 7 hours at 4 kwacha per hour, so 28 kwacha. Variable overheads 3 hours at 3 kwacha per hour, 9 kwacha. The total budgeted fixed production overheads for the period are 15,000, and the total budgeted production sales volume was 3,500 units. All right, so we expect our overheads to be 15,000, and we expect to produce and sell 3,500 units. All right, so during the period the following transactions occurred. All right, 2,000 units were produced and sold at 50 kwacha per unit. 3,800 kg of materials were consumed at a cost of 25,000. The 2,000 units, it took them 5,900 hours to produce. The actual labor hours was 6,000. And the total labor cost was 27,000. Then variable production overheads amounted to 17,800. And fixed production overheads of 16,700. Calculate the following: material price variance, material usage variance, direct labor rate variance, direct labor efficiency variance, variable overhead expenditure, and fixed overhead expenditure. So the first variance that we'll be looking at is the material price variance. Colleagues, what is the materials price variance? Before I stick the information there, what is materials price variance? I need to know if you were understanding during the residentials, because the way it's seeming, maybe you are not understanding. So anybody to just give us an overview what is material price variance? The difference between what the material costed and what the material should have costed. All right. Difference between what the material should have costed and what the material actually costed. All right, colleagues. So, in order to tabulate the materials price variance, all right, it's the standard price times the actual materials used. This is going to tell us what we are budgeting for the material to cost. All right. Yes. Okay, sure. Sure, I'm recording and I'll send this document for you. But it doesn't mean you should just sit still there and just listen through. At least let's try to participate. Yeah. Okay. So, yes, I was saying, we have to find out what we're expecting the material to cost, right, against what the materials actually costed. All right. So, what is the standard price of the materials? We come here, 5 kwacha per kg. How much material was used? 3,800 kg. So according to our standard cost, right, which is 5 kwacha per kg, materials used 3,800. All right, colleagues, all these numbers that are coming here are already given in the information. All right, so do not confuse yourself and start asking, where is this number coming from? No, all this information is, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Yes. So colleagues, let's get our calculators. 5 kwacha per kg times 3,800 kgs. Mm-hmm. Am I close? I thought I said, okay, let me repeat what I said earlier on. Okay, actually, okay, let me slow down. Thank you for that, Mr. Kwema. Let me slow down. Okay, maybe you want to get a screenshot of the question so that when I'm referring to the information, you can see it. Get a screenshot. Have we got the screenshot? Yes. So we're looking at the direct material price variance. As I said, is the difference between what the material costed and what the material should have costed. What the material costed versus what the material should have costed. So right now here, what we're tabulating here is what the material should have costed. All right. So this is where I'm saying standard price multiplied by actual materials used. This information is going to give us what the material should have costed. All right. We're going to compare that with the actual cost of the materials. All right. The actual cost of the materials was given to us here. All right. 25,000. So we put here 25,000. Before we move further, any questions? 5 kwacha times 3,800. As I said, in this topic, all right, we always want the actual to be less than the standard. All right, when I say when the actual is less than the standard, it means we are paying less. All right, but in this case, our actual is greater than the standard, which means we are paying more. All right. So let's calculate the variance. The variance is adverse because the actual cost is greater than the standard cost. All right. We always want our actual to be less than the standard, what we budgeted for. All right. Whenever you hear me say the standard is what we budgeted for. All right. So in this case, the actual cost is greater than what we budgeted for. All right. We budgeted that if we use 3,800 kgs, we should spend 19,000. But now, at the end of the month, the actual cost came to 25,000. So it means we paid more, right? So 19,000 minus 15,000, negative 6,000. So the variance is adverse. Any questions? If we just repeat your question again, favor, favorable, it would be favorable. Yes. Meaning you paid less than what you budgeted for. So the whole concept about this topic is what you budgeted for and what it actually costed you. Okay. We can move to the next one. Material usage variance. So let me just get the information and bring it down there. Direct material usage, the difference between the standard quantity of materials that should have been used for the number of units produced. All right. The difference between the standard quantity that should have been used for the number of units actually produced and versus the actual quantity of material used. valued at the standard cost per material. Have we understood the Chizungu there? The difference between the standard quantity of materials that should have been used for the number of units actually produced versus the actual usage of the material, basically. Have we understood the English there before we go to the tabulations? I don't want to go too fast. Remember, for each material, right? Let's look at it like this. For each material, we need how much? 4 kg. Okay. Produce each material, we need 4 kg. Right? So we've budgeted 4 kg for each material. Now we produced 2,000 units. All right. So 2,000 times 4 kg, that's going to give us how much material we're going to use. Okay. Then we're going to compare it against the actual material that has been used. Is 3,800. Okay. This was the amount of material used. All right. Now we are comparing with what we budgeted. All right. We budgeted 4 kg for each unit and we produced 2,000 units. Right. So in actuality, we're supposed to use 8,000 kg of the material, but in reality, we only used 3,800 kg. We need 4 kg for each material. So you say 4 kg. We produced 2,000 units. So we budgeted to use 2,000 times 4. We budgeted to use 8,000 kg of material. But in actuality, we used 3,800 kg of the material. Is it making more sense now? Hello? We produced 2,000 units and we budgeted that for each unit we'll be using 4 kg. So according to our budget, we're supposed to use 8,000 kg. But in actuality, we used 3,800 kg. Any questions? Hello, colleagues? Any questions before we go further? And I'm doubting that. The silence is too. It's too much. Ask where you're not clear, because there are a lot of these variances. So at least, um, how can I say? At least you should understand many of them. Right. The difference between the standard quantity of materials that should have been used, this 8,000 kg here, and the actual quantity of materials used, 3,800 kg. So, is this favorable or is this adverse? Why? Yes. So 8,000. So our variance is favorable. 5,000, 8,000 minus 1 8. Excuse me. 4,200. Favorable. Are we okay, colleagues? We can move to the next one. Okay, let's. This part valued at the standard cost per unit, you can multiply this by the standard cost per unit, but here we're just interested to see the variances. All right, the next one is the direct labor rate variance. So let me get the information. Very easy. All right, difference between what the labor did cost and what the labor should have cost. All right, that's the direct labor variance. What the labor should have cost, what we budgeted, and what it actually cost. So you get the standard labor rate per hour and you multiply it by the actual labor hours. All right. Then that's the cost we're budgeting for labor. Right. This tabulation here that we're doing is the budgeted labor cost. The standard labor rate, we go back to our information. 4 kwacha per hour. multiplied by the actual hours, actual labor hours. So we come to information here. It took 6,000 labor hours. All right. So 4 times 6,000, that is 24,000. And the actual labor cost we were given also in our information. Our actual labor cost was 27,000. Colleagues, is this favorable or adverse? You budgeted that labor would cost you 24,000, but actually labor costed you 27,000. As as a business owner, would you like that? For what, when your actual cost is greater than what you budgeted for? It's adverse, yes. Yes. So a good way to do it is like this, and just remember that negative is adverse, positive is favorable. Okay. Because I've seen in some workings they'll just leave everything positive, but you'll be seeing one is favorable, one is adverse. Then you get confused, start thinking, oh, what's happening here? Blah blah blah. So I, I want this document to be user friendly. Any questions? Number four, direct labor efficiency variance. Let me get the information here. Direct labor efficiency variance. All right, here we're comparing, all right, the budgeted hours we expect it should take to produce our good. This is the actual hours that were used to produce the good, right? The budgeted hours expected to be used to produce the good versus the actual hours used to produce the good. I hope that one is clear. So we get the standard labor rate times the actual units produced. Remember, we produced 2,000 units, all right? And the standard labor rate was 4 kwacha per hour. Four times 2,000. So we're budgeting to take 8,000 hours. But in actuality, it took us, we come to our information here, the 2,000 units took 5,900 hours. So we budgeted take 8,000 hours, but in actuality, we took 5,900 hours. Is this adverse or favorable? Oh, wait. The actual hours for each unit is, where is this? 7 hours. Yes, 7 hours to produce each unit. So 7 times 2,000. So about that. So this is 14,000. So we expected, it takes 7 hours to produce one unit. All right. Now we expected, since we produced 2,000 units, we expected it to take us 14,000 hours. Very long time. But the actual hours were 5,900. So it's favorable, yes, because so we took less time than what we budgeted for. 14 minus 5, 9. 14,000 minus 5, 9. 8,100. Huh? Yes. Any questions before we go to the next one? Variable overhead expenditure. Right? We're comparing what we budget our variable overheads to be against how much our variable overheads costed. All right. So standard overhead rate. Let's go to our for the variable cost. What's our standard overhead rate? 3 kwacha per hour. Number of hours it took to produce the units. 5,900. That is 3 times 5,900. $11,700. Now we say what was our actual variable overhead cost? 17,800. Briggs, is this favorable or adverse? Right? We budgeted that our variable. Mhm. Yeah, what we budgeted is 11,700. Sure. Who gave me that answer? Who gave me the wrong answer? Oh, okay. It's about to be 5. Okay, yes. So is this variable? We budgeted that our variable overhead should cost us 17,700, but in actuality, they costed us 17,800. So in the real world, as a cost accountant, you want most of this to be favorable. Okay, because if you're getting adverse, then it shows your budgeting skills are not good. You're not good at budget. If 2 years in a row you're just seeing adverse, you'll be like, no, this guy is not good at budgeting. So this is this favorable or adverse? Adverse. All right. So there are more. I just picked these 6 for today, but there are actually more. So next when we meet next time, we'll also look at the others. Fixed overheads expenditure. what you budgeted your fixed overheads to be and the actual fixed overheads incurred. So in the question it tells us we budgeted 15,000. Where's the question? Okay, we budgeted fixed overheads to be 15,000, but the fixed overheads were actually 16,700. Under absorption, right, colleagues? Doesn't this remind us of an under absorption? So is this favorable or adverse? You budgeted 15,000 should be your fixed overheads, but actually it was 16,700. All right.